go over these, and some of you guys didn't understand how I was looking for you to answer them, so that's another good reason to go over this. So let's look at this from a student view. All right, visual composition of functions. This one looked okay, but let's go through it anyways. F of g of 3. The first thing I'm looking at is g of 3. So I'm going to find x equals 3, follow it down to g. Looks like g of 3 is negative 6, right? G of 3 is negative 6. So now I'm looking for f of negative 6. So I find negative 6 for x. Here it is. I follow it up to graph f, positive 1. So the answer is 1. Questions on this? Hopefully that's an easy one for people. But that's something you have to do from time to time in your calc class, and sometimes you do the same thing from a table. They'll give you a table for F and a table for G, and you'll have to answer some stuff like this. All right, some of these are going to be, these are all pretty close to your actual problem. Some of them will be a little harder than what you see in the practice. Some of them will be a little easier, but they're all similar. This one was the tougher of the two options I could have given you. We're putting G into F. So what I'm doing is I'm taking x plus 5 and I'm putting it into F every time I see an x. All right, so G is going into F. So negative x plus 5, negative x plus 5. All right, and something that you want to do somewhere on a piece of paper is just do this workout. Negative x times negative x is x squared. Here I've got a negative 5x and another negative 5x. That's negative 10x. And 5 times 5 is 25. All right, ends up being the same thing as x minus 5 squared. So this gives me x squared minus 10x plus 25. And then we'll distribute this plus negative 5x plus 25 plus 12. And now we'll combine like terms. I've got a single x squared term. I've got a negative 10x and a negative 5x. Those add up to negative 15x. 25 plus 25 plus 12, that's 62. And there's my answer. F of g of x is going to be x to the second power minus 15x plus 62. Okay to move on, or anybody need me to wait? Okay. Clean this up. Let's go on to the next question. All right. Find f inverse of x. So remember, to find an inverse function, we want to swap x and y. This really says y equals. So I want to switch my x, replace x with y, and replace y with x. And I want to solve for y. All right, well, y is inside of a radical, so I want to get the radical by itself. First thing I'm going to do is divide by 8. So x over 8 equals the 7th root of y plus 10. Now let's get rid of the radical with a power. Right? The opposite of a 7th root is a 7th power. So now I've got x over 8 to the 7th power equals y plus 10. Now all I have to do is subtract 10 from both sides, and this is going to be my inverse function. Right, minus 10, minus 10. F inverse of x is x over 8 all to the 7th power minus 10. Questions on this one? Let's move on. Next section. Okay, find the domain of f of x. All right, remember there's two types of issues that we think about. Denominators can't be 0, and what's inside of an even type of radical, a square root or a fourth root or a sixth root, what's inside of a even radical has to be greater than or equal to 0. I don't have any radicals, but I do have a denominator. X squared plus 3x minus 28 cannot equal 0. Well, they're being nice to us here because we can factor this. Well, the two values that would make this equal 0 would be negative 7 and positive 4. So that means x cannot be negative 7 and positive 4. So we've got a whole bunch of options. The easiest way, all values except 2. All x, such that x is an element of the real numbers, but x is not equal to negative 7, and x is not equal to positive 4.
Oh, could I make a comment on
Please.
this one? I think a lot of people, my folks anyway, got it right. Some of them chose, a different choice for the answer type and used unions and things. So I just found it, personally, I found it helpful to look at the different answer types and think, gee, which one would be easiest to use?
Yes, for sure. Yeah. Now, if you were going to do an interval, you could say from negative infinity to negative 7, union negative 7 to positive 4, union positive 4 to infinity, not including the negative 7 or the positive 4, but that would definitely be the hardest way to answer. So, yes, take Mr. Kaplan's advice there and look at your options and see which is the easiest way for you to answer the question. All right. Submit our answer. All right, next section. Okay, a car worth $37,000 today will depreciate at the rate of 18% every 2 years. Well, 100% minus 18% leaves you 82%. And as a decimal, that's 0.82. So that's really what we need to say here. It tells us the value is y. Y equals 37,000 times 0.82. And it's not every year, it's every 2 years. So we're going to do to the x over 2 power. Okay, again, you can call out this little keyboard to get fraction and exponent templates. But again, don't forget, you can just hold Shift 6 to get an exponent, and you just do the little slash for a fraction. It's very intuitive and easy to do once you get the hang of it. All right, but all of these questions, I do go the open response. I will go through and look at them all. So, if you forgot the y equals, I'll probably give you, 9 out of 10 points or something like that. But it's not a function if you don't have two variables, and it does say to use y and x. All right, next section. All right, the population is 48,000 today and increasing at the rate of 2.1% per year. So part of the thought process here is 100% plus 2.1% equals 102.1%. And as a decimal, that's 1.021. That's going to be our base. So my equation is going to be 48,000 times 1.021, and it's not to the x over something, it's just to the x here on this one. And I want to know when is y equals 60,000. So on this one, Jeremy, I think it was you just gave me an answer, and you were correct, I believe, but it does say show you work, so I'm not going to give you better than half credit for an answer without work. Okay, so here's what I want to see. 60,000 equals 48,000. 1.021 to the x. All right. The next thing I would want to do, if I was writing this out, on a piece of paper, I might show this. I might show dividing by 48,000, dividing by 48,000. But the result is just going to be 5/4, or 1.25 equals 1.021 to the x power. So that's the next step we're going to show here. We're just going to hit enter. 1.25 equals 1.021 to the x. Then we're going to take the log of both sides. All right, and this is going to look the same on here as it would in writing. Whoops. To do that. Okay, the log of 1.25 equals x times the log of 1.021. All right. And then I would divide both sides by the log of 1.021. And now, Samantha, I believe it was you. You did beautiful, beautiful work. But at this point, you turned the log of 1.25 and the log of 1.021 into decimals. So you lost quite a decent amount of accuracy on your final exam answer. So that's something I really want to make you aware of. It's a big deal. Don't to not round off anything early in AP Calc. All right, so really do your best not to do that. And yeah, so math formatter. If you're having trouble with anything, you can come down here. You can do log 1.25 divided by log 1.021 equals x. You can insert it into your paragraph if you want to. But so, Sean, I think you did that, and there's no it didn't look the way you thought it would. So this is fine right here. And then just give it a final answer, and don't forget you have this Delta Math calculator is accessible to you, but I'm going to do it on my handheld calculator because I have so much writing on the screen. And make sure you close the brackets after your first 1.25. 10.737. It does say to the nearest thousandth, so that's 3 decimal places. X equals 10.3737. Okay, and years would be nice, but as a rule of thumb on this, if you didn't give me the the accuracy I asked for, I'd take off a point. If you were off by if you had the right formula, but you told me 9 or something like that. But if I saw a log of 1.25 divided by a log of 1.021, and I know you just hit a button wrong on the calculator, I'd give you 8 out of 10 points. All right, but that's what you want to submit, and it won't tell you you're right or wrong because that's a teacher-graded item. And I will give partial credit depending on how many steps you get correct. All right. Questions on this one? But that's what I want to see. I want to see work. If it says show your work, I want to see the steps. All right, this one here, a continuous rate. I just wanted you to remember that you use base E when you see the word continuous. All right, so Y equals 40,000 E to the 0.032x. All right. All you have to do on these, you don't build in the 100% or anything on these. Just convert this to a decimal. That's 0.032. 3.2 divided by 100, and that's your answer. And this one will self-score. All right, and Delta Math is pretty good about, if you put just 0.032 instead of 0.032, Delta Math knows it's the same, so it'll give you credit. But I will look at these anyways. All right, let's move on. So some of you guys were spending too long on these. Only a couple of you guys that finished this, and I was kind of half expecting to see a lot of people finished early, but hopefully this helps, and maybe if you have time, look over this again, so on Thursday you won't be as challenged by this stuff. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is add 1 to both sides. So that's what I'm going to show over here, the result after adding 1. 3e to the x. Okay, and I see what's going on here. All right, so I guess sometimes you do have to come down here. 3e to the x plus 2 equals 13. Let's see what happens when I insert. Okay, that's what it looks like to me, I guess. I also don't care if you just do this 3e to the x plus 2. Man, I thought this was going to be a little bit easier to work with. Anyways, equals 13. Okay, use the math formatter if you want to, but show me your steps. That's the important part. All right, I'm going to divide both sides by 13. All right. Yeah, let's see what's in the chat here. Times before the e, maybe. Let's see. I'm going to divide both sides by 3. And again, here's one of those things where you do not want to round off early. All right, don't turn 13 thirds into 4.333. All right. Okay, let's do math formatter here. Let's try this. So e to the x plus 2 equals 13 thirds. Yeah. You can do it either way. Use the math formatter. I swear when I did the preview, it didn't give me this problem. But anyways, so let's just do it like this. E to the x plus 2 equals 13 thirds. All right. I think it looks better this way, honestly. Now I'm going to rewrite using natural log. All right. Natural log of 13 thirds equals x plus 2. Remember the thing that I keep saying, the log equals the exponent. So when you rewrite using a log, the log has to equal the exponent, has to equal x plus 2. So ln 13 thirds equals x plus 2. All right, last step is subtract 2 from both sides. Natural log of 13 thirds minus 2 equals x. You got almost all the points at this point, but now we put it into a calculator. It does say round your answer to the nearest thousandth. So I think it was you, Sean, that did all your work perfectly and then just forgot to give a final answer. Negative 0.533 or negative 0.534. Either one is acceptable because it's 0.5336, so you can chop it off or follow the rules of rounding. All right. And so you can see, I guess, when I use the math formatter, it looks messed up to you, but it looks nice on Delta Math in the end. So whatever you're more comfortable with. As long as I can tell what you're doing, I'll give you proper credit. If your work is good, I'll give you proper credit. All right. One more show you work, and then the rest of these. This was almost identical to a problem I gave you on the take-home test. All right. What we're going to do is add 5 to both sides. We want to get the log of something by itself. Then rewrite in exponential form. And then we're almost out of here. So first step, log 2x plus 1 equals 3. And now, remember, this is a log base 10, and the log always equals the exponent. So the 3 is the exponent. All right, so 10 to the third equals 2x plus 1 is our next big step. Then I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. Now, you can leave it as 10 to the third minus 1, or 999, right? 10 to the third is 1,000. 10 to the third minus 1. 1,000 minus 1 is 999. And now we're going to divide both sides by 2. And we're going to get x equals 499.5. Questions on this one? Okay. Let's move on then. Okay. Rewrite this as an exponential equation. Again, the base is e, and the log equals the exponent. So the 4 must go here. The exponent is the 3x plus 1. The 4 is the answer. All right. Next section. Write this as a single logarithm in simplest form. We're going to apply 2 laws of logarithms here. First, the 3 is going to come on here as an exponent. So that's the log base b of 3 to the third power minus the log base b of 9. So now we're going to combine them into one logarithm. The log of a minus the log of b is the log of a over b. And that's 27 divided by 9. And 27 divided by 9 is just 3. So equals the log base b of 3. Okay, a couple more. Okay, I was a little disappointed at how many people left this blank on the test. I feel like people did very well on this for a couple of days and then just forgot all about it. So this is we want a polynomial function. Some number c. I've got 2 roots here, 2 zeros. Here's a double 0 and a regular 0. There's a double 0 at x equals -1. And there's a regular old 0 at x equals 2. And then, by the way, we didn't cover, if you see something like this, if it flattens out like that, we call that a triple 0, and you put to the third power in your equation. All right. But anyway, so all I know at this point is that c is positive because it points up on the right. But hey, wait a minute, they give me an extra point right here, 0, -3. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in -3 for y and 0 for x. 0 plus 1 is 1. 1 squared is 1. 1 times -2 is -2. So divide by -2 on both sides. C is 3/2 or 1.5. So 3 over 2 or 1.5 is fine. X plus 1 to the second power. X minus 2. Questions or concerns before I erase and submit? Okay, I believe this is the last one for today coming up. This should be an easy one if you understand what you're being asked. The first box is asking what happens on the left side. As x goes to -infinity, well, y is going to +infinity. Right? Just pointing up. And same thing on the right side. As x goes to +infinity, so does y. Y goes to +infinity. Right? So I'm just going to choose +infinity for both boxes. The left end points up and the right end points up. That's it. Okay, now let me stop this recording here, and I'll post that on our Google Classroom in case anybody wants to look at it later. Practice final 1.